gonna go live. Do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think we are going live. Welcome back to the 58th episode of the Hagwon Startup Podcast. That is still being under revampation. I'm here with Rhett Burton again, and we have paired up today for an epic talk about how to deliver online lessons. So we're going to be talking about things. Okay, good. That's my phone. We're going to be talking about things related to, very specifically to the Hagwon industry here in South Korea. And in particular, right now, since because of the whole Corona issue and people going through all kinds of nonsense, economy is taking a heavy hit. Lots of schools, most schools are closed in Korea. Actually, no, all schools are closed in Korea until the 6th of April. And so all the smaller Hagwons are following suit. I think, Rhett, you're closed down, right?
I'm a study room, and we chose to close our school until they started regular school. But nothing is certain because during this pandemic, we just have to live day by day to see what works best for the moment. And that's why we've transitioned some of our classes online, but not all of them.
Right. So we're hoping that the 6th of April is going to be the final date, right? But like you said, I don't know if you noticed, but there's been a lot of messages coming through recently, and it seems like the government's pushing or encouraging people to stay indoors for the next 2 weeks. I think they really want to open schools on the 6th, because I think if they don't, it will start affecting a lot more than just having closed businesses. From what I understand, they were talking about taking this month that was off and kind of using that as an early vacation. So I think they're going to scrap the entire month of vacation that the kids are supposed to get in the summer. And I think if the date is postponed even further, it might start affecting the Sunung, the university entrance exams. I heard somewhere that it might have an effect on that. So I think the government's really pushing now to get things going on the 6th. So they're messaging people every day and saying stay indoors, don't talk to anybody, don't breathe any air, just for the next 2 weeks, quarantine yourself and stay out of, public light.
Well, two things about that. Yes, I'm a big fan of social distancing. I think that, we should be keeping space in between, and if we've got masks, we should wear them, as well as we shouldn't be going to restaurants and too many indoor places. And when we do go outdoors, we should, practice, like I just said, social distancing. As for the government and the changes or their policies and their scheduling and whatnot, I do not really focus my attention too much on it, because I cannot control any of that. And because I can't control it, I think that, I'll read it when it comes out. Elsewise, I'm just going to keep focused on my attention on what I have the power to control, which is my school, which is getting online, which is delivering content to my students.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think who's in there? Somebody's in the chat saying, "Hi guys, hello." Whoever's in the chat, I can see the chat there. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But I don't know if you've noticed, but it seems okay. Ms. RC is in the chat. Hi, Ms. RC. I don't know if you noticed, Rhett, but I saw a post on Facebook as well. I've noticed it myself. People have mentioned it to me that the locals here, I mean, people in general are pretty quick to forget. But it seems like Koreans have a tendency to just get over things quite quickly. Well, in some cases, probably.
I don't want to stereotype too much,
In
but
some
there is
cases.
there is an expression called "nembi munhwa,"
Uh-huh.
which means the tin pan culture, and it kind of, to summarize it in English, it means it boils quickly and it cools down quickly.
Mm.
So yeah, I read it in a book, and I've sort of kind of lived a lot of my years in Korea thinking about that tin pan culture, but I try not to stereotype too much.
Yeah, but so there've been like stories of just people, leaving their just being outside again as if nothing's ever happened. Restaurants are filling up, people are doing things, streets are full again of people. Like just last week, my friend called me up. He was in the neighborhood and said, "Hey Jack, let's have dinner." And he went into a restaurant that was empty, and by the time he had his meal served, the restaurant was packed, he said. There were so many people, he
Yeah.
was really surprised. And today I read somebody made a comment on Facebook with a similar point being made, that people are just, everybody's out again. Nobody really pays much attention to what's
Yeah, a
going
lot of
on so much.
schools, they're walking around seeing their kids outside without masks and playing, and they're like, well, if this is the way things are, then I should just start my school up again, because it's
Yeah,
that's
yeah, I've heard of a Hagwon being open. Like one of my students told me that he went to a math Hagwon today because the Hagwon opened up this week. I was like,
yep, they're
whoa.
starting to open.
Yeah, yeah, some are. So I don't know.
And well, and if you're not in contact, if you're not in communication with your parents or with your students, and you let that connection break apart, then we're going to have some issues with kind of linking back up before they maybe go off to a different service, which is something that I'm a little bit concerned about. Say as the situation continues, because if we're not, as a school owner, we're not offering some sort of online service, and the parents aren't getting any education or any sort of yeah, English classes, then they will find somebody who is doing it. And I'm not too sure where they're going to go, whether they're going to go to another provider, another school, somebody even in a different country. Entrepreneurs always find the opportunity, and that's as a school owner, we're part entrepreneur, because we do provide our services as a business.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is that fear that clientele might leave if you just remain inactive, right? So
Yes.
what have you been doing in order to keep your clientele kind of, to keep
Well,
faith in your presence?
to be honest, I haven't been doing as much as I haven't been doing as much as I could be doing. I'm a little bit. I was very active to get students on, but not all students. And I was very active to learn how to use the tools that I
Mm-hmm.
needed. And I am always very active compiling and curating the content that I need to deliver what I think is better than average lessons. Because as a school owner, I want to be competing at a level that 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 says quality, or that parents know, like, and trust, because that is my style, that is my flavor, and that's how I do things. So I'm not interested in starting up a big group class without kind of understanding the dynamics, and then end up like offering a totally different service because I don't know how to use the tools. So I've been kind of slowly learning the platform, which I use Zoom, and I've been slowly onboarding more and more students, because I with my as my skill level goes up with the content, with the platform, then I'm introducing more so I can do more and offer that maybe hopefully better than the next school over service to my students.
Sure. How did you find, what was the parents'
Okay, well,
response? What was the parents' response for like when you said, hey, we're going to start doing classes online? Like, how did the parents respond to that?
well, that's the thing, and this is one of the big tricks that if you don't get it right, then you may end up without any students. Because there's two approaches. One approach is there's one approach where I called the mothers directly and said, all right, we're in this situation and we're not offering classes, but we're doing online classes. Here is the link. Click on it right now. All right. You clicked on it. Good. All right. Can you see me? Can your mic hear me? You can hear me. All right. Well, I'm going to do it. Does your daughter have time for a quick 10-minute conversation with me? Great. Let's do this. All right. And then, okay, we finished the lesson. Can I talk to the mom again? What do you think of that? And mom's like, it worked great. All right. Do you want to continue this? Yes, I would like to continue this. All right. I'll see you. Let's schedule a full-blown class, depending on the parameters that we set. And let's continue this conversation. Let's continue teaching your daughter or son. I called, I told them exactly what we're going to do. And I followed through. And because I kind of made the mother, I gave the mother the agency to keep moving forward with the process. And in the end, she saw it, she liked it, she wanted to go with it. And if you don't show the parents what they're actually getting and what it sounds like, sometimes they have this different idea in their mind of what it is, and they don't like that idea. So you really have to show them so that they experience it, so that they know firsthand. Which brings me to the other way, because we sent out a mass email or a mass message saying, from next month, this week, schools are closing down. Are you interested in online classes? And of the X amount of students that we called, only one said, yes, we are interested in that service. And it was the shy student. She was the shy student. She was a student that wanted more one-on-one time. Like, she had her reasons, or the mom had reasons why she really liked the online content. So even though it wasn't part of our original programming or regular service, that she really, really liked the idea of the one-on-one because of the shyness.
Right.
And so I've been doing lessons with her, and her mom has complimented me for kind of getting her to talk more just in the last month that we've been doing it, because it's one-on-one. It's all me and her co-creating the content, negotiating the dialogue, the narratives.
Right. Yeah, it kind of makes sense, because I mean, we got a lot of pushback from our parents. Basically, most of the parents on our side were not very interested in coming online and having online lessons. But we staged, I think in the first week, or maybe halfway through or so, we got some of our kids online just to say hello, just to get them online, and we scheduled blocks. I think like 10 or 20-minute blocks just to say hello, and so they could see the online process and how it works and say hello and blah blah blah. And so we got a call back from like a couple of parents. They wanted us to continue with that, but that's it. For the majority of people, they were not really interested in coming online. Whereas, I heard stories from other Hagwon owners who have been very successful with bringing like a majority of their classes back online. And I have no idea how it does. It must have been like really a hard sale. Just, no, we're doing that. And that's it. That's the end of the story. But for us, it was a very different experience, which is like, some people, I was talking to some other people, and I was receiving, like, the response that I got from them was surprise, in a way of, why are your parents being so stubborn type of deal? I have I'm not my parents, right? Our customers. I have no idea why. But we did get some questions from our customers of whether we are opening up this week, because people are ready. Like some people said that they were ready to come back because they were just tired of being cooped up at home, having their kids, stuck at home.
Which may not be the best solution either. But
no.
And that's why I'm a little bit slow to scale my lessons, so that I don't want parents to say that they don't want it. I want my parents to think that not only do they want it, but they're getting a great service. And so so today I actually, from the student's mother, I talked to her. I said, are you willing to give me a testimonial for my online class? And she sent a picture. She gave me a testimonial, and it was wonderful. And I'm going to use that testimonial to recruit other mothers to the cause, or to online teaching. As for schools who successfully onboarded the majority of their students, yes, communication is key, and selling is always something that we need to be very precise with, very specific with. And the better we are at articulating our program and showcasing the benefits, then the more likely they will get on board.
Yeah.
And if the person who's promoting the online doesn't feel confident doing so, or doesn't feel like it's the service that they want to provide, then they're not. You're going to hear it in the voice. You're going to hear it. You're going to see it in the body language, or you're going to feel it maybe even in the message. So copy is so important. Tone is so important. Body language is so important, depending on how you communicate.
Sure.
So just a generic message, I don't think will have a high conversion rate.
Yeah. Rota says in a chat, I don't know, she or he, no idea. Blessed, we got 100% at the start of March. Congratulations. All of your little customers back, all the kids online. That's fantastic. How big of a percentage of your students are with you right now online, right?
Very few.
Yeah.
I have a few coming in for one-on-one privates, and I have a few doing online. But this week, because I used the last few weeks to say, okay, if I'm going to be teaching online in the future, I need to make sure that my content is ready, that my website is ready, and I placed my chess pieces on the board, and I got ready to play the game. And I have enough to get to the point where I'm comfortable saying it's go time. Because it's not just about content, it's all about it's getting them on board as well. So you have to be able to communicate with the parents through a means to get the reach. If you don't have any reach, then you're not going to get any students. Now, because I'm a school owner, because I have already a database of phone numbers I can call, I will call them up and I will onboard all of them. And if they say no, it's not an issue, but then I will move to a broader audience, which I'm going to do. I call it winning winning the complex. First, I'm going to call winning the mothers. I'm going to call the moms, talk to them. If they're interested, they're going to say yes. And if not, they're going to say no, and that's no problems. And then I'm going to communicate to the apartment complex through advertisements, and I'm going to onboard more. And then if that process works and I onboard X amount and I learn how to fight the fires that occur as I'm onboarding more mothers, then I'm going to even scale to, say, my whole neighborhood. So I'm going to try to bring in 4 or 5 other apartments, because when you're online, then you could send them to a website, or you can send them to a link, or you could send them, say, to a sales page, and from there they just click, and then they're in your class. and
Yeah.
which I can show you how I'm going to do it on my website if you want.
Yeah, let's do that just a sec. David Tulip says we also have had a great response with Zoom. Yeah, I think most of the people that we chatted with have spoken with uh, um, have been using Zoom, and they've been saying that Zoom's been pretty good to them, right?
You
Um,
know, there's a lot of platforms to use, but sometimes in the end you just go with what you know. And if you go with what you know and everybody else is doing this and following that Zoom program, then there's a lot of exchange of language and tips and tricks. And that's what happened in our Facebook group, is that I said, well, I'm going to go with Zoom because I know Zoom. And they're like, what's Zoom? I'm like, Zoom is this. And then I said, come chat with me. And suddenly for the whole 2 weeks, it was all about Zoom, 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 Zoom. And
yeah,
now we're starting to figure out that, well, now we're having other challenges about scaling content and kids getting bored and kids maybe not paying attention properly, and those are other challenges.
yeah. John says, are you concerned that there won't be much uptake now that people are feeling ready to send their kids back to school in person, or is online teaching a permanent path for the future for you? And David Tulip said, and as Rhett is saying, I think not having nonverbal cues has actually been helpful in a way. Yeah, I don't know. Are you concerned that I think that was partially my wife's concern as well. I think that's why she was a bit hesitant about getting online too, because she thought that actually the other way from what Joe is saying, her concern was that if we go online, who's going to want to come back to class? And I'm not sure if that's a rational fear in any way. But like there's a bunch of businesses in China. I know China seems to be mainly online. There's a lot more people than in Korea, but there's a lot of online teaching going on in China, and it seems to be a very well established kind of business. But I think with Korea, I think Koreans are, yeah, and I don't want to be stereotypical, but it seems that people here are a lot more resistant to new things. And like you say, unless you make them see the benefits or the difference, or just introduce them forcibly to a new idea, a new concept, then they tend to resist it until somebody close to them introduces them or makes them starts using it, in which case they kind of start to think that, hey, maybe this is not a bad thing, right? But if it's coming from
People have a hard time adapting to a new thing. And then once they see that somebody has done it, it's like that 15-second that race that they did. I forget, so I won't talk about it. But once one person does it and shows success, then all of a sudden you get 2, and then 3, and then 10, and then suddenly it's like the new norm.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, Rhett, I'm going to switch over the screens. So Rhett's got his website. If you're interested in checking out Rhett's website, I've got the link below. It's below the video. It's posted there. And here's how Rhett runs his program. So, yeah, Rhett, you want to show us the thing that you do when you do the thing?
Well, thanks for the 100%, David. Yeah, am I sharing my screen right now?
Yeah.
Can you see?
Yeah. Your content is up for viewage.
So one thing that I want to do, and I want to show color. I want my students to be visual pleasing. If you stimulate the eyes, and the eyes are a sense that they really can enjoy. We don't want to be just looking at a bunch of white space because it's glaring on the eyes. We want to see a natural picture. Especially for me, I teach young learners, and that's how I create a lot of my content, is that it's very visually pleasing and easy to look at. So when I'm running my online class, I actually divide my screen into two parts. I'm not running dual monitors. I keep everything on one screen. I guess I do it because I only have one computer, I only have one screen, and I have to use what I have because I don't want to go out and buy or spend a whole bunch of money getting ready to get online when I don't have too many paying customers for my online service. So I always want to start with what I have before I go out and invest a lot of money. And I learned that actually from starting up my physical school. When I started my physical school, sorry, a little segue, I went out and I bought a whole bunch of expensive stuff that I thought I needed, that I really, really wanted. But in the end, I wasn't really trained to use it. So I wasted a lot of money. And I didn't want to do that with the transition to online. So I just used what I had, and what I had, it's working well. So one of the simplest ways to create content is through PowerPoint, or on my Mac, I use Keynote. And I'm very fast at using Keynote to design anything and everything that I want because the tools are just so simple. You know, the text box and the shapes and the drag images in. And so I just work on slide by slide. So here you can see my course. I have, just one word, hello. And then here, I am at school. And I click on it. The students can focus on the words one by one. But I do more than that. I make it much larger because I can control the PowerPoint. I can focus the students who are just coming into my English class on the bare minimum amount of content at one time. So here, and then I jump down here, I am. And then I build up on that knowledge by building up another word onto it. I am at. And once I am at, and then they're learning to hear the sounds, they're learning to produce the sounds, and then I am at school. I am at school. So and then I'm like, I am at school. All right. And then we do like, hi, mom. And we play around with mom being, the kids when they come to school and they got their phones and they're like, they want to answer the phone to their mom. They're like, mom. And the mom says, what does the mom say? Where are you? Mom, I am at school. So we play around. Oh, sometimes they have to call their moms when they come to school. So we practice numbers as well. 0, 1, 0, 2, 3, 2, 1, 4, 4, 1, 5. Now, all these numbers are the first 5. And the reason why I do the first 5 is because actually in my first lesson, sorry for jumping around. I always jump around in my lessons because I start at the start. I work through, I stage it in a way that builds up their knowledge, I practice it. And so that in the end, they're producing it more fluently with time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then hello. And I also like to get closer to the camera so that they can see my face and they can see my actions and they can really kind of feel maybe a little bit closer. But, so that's why this content down here is only 1 through 5. But on top of that, the internet has a lot of different tools. And so I like using my website as well because they can listen to the songs as we do our class. So I would normally play it, but I don't know if I should right now.
You can try.
Click on it. And here, the lesson is hello.
So when you use that, like you have, because your screen is divided into 3 parts, right? Basically, there's you and the student, I guess, on camera would be in that case.
Yes.
And then there is your PowerPoint, and then there is an additional window, right?
So when I'm in this mode, I forgot to do something. I usually make my cursor bigger so that the students can watch my cursor with their eyes.
Right.
So when I'm actually doing that, I sometimes I move the characters on the PowerPoint, and I move the cursor. So I assume their eyes are following the cursor.
Right.
And then I have them repeat or mimic whatever I say, and then we go back and forth. But then I go back into I use Zoom, and I go back into the chat box, and I have them type out hello. So, and then when they're typing out hello, I'm like, where's the H? Hello. Hello. Good. One more time. Faster. Hello. So I'm using, the chat box, and I'm using the PowerPoint, and I'm using, say, songs and things.
Mm-hmm.
And because my classes are shorter, I'm only focusing on a limited amount of content.
Right. Well, how long do you keep your classes? At what, 20 minutes or so?
My online classes are only 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But I will say that I've extended to 30 minutes for my higher level students, because we are able to co-create the narratives,
right,
and I can build lessons on the spot.
Right.
Which is interesting because I build the PowerPoints, or I build the slides, I build the lesson as the language emerges.
Right.
So like I have a goal, or I have a task that we do, but often it goes off into different tangents, and I can bring it back, and I can make connections too. But I can only do that with higher level students, not with, say, A1 or pre-A1.
Yeah. David Tulip says he got 100% of their elementary students because they decided kindy wouldn't really work. I agree. I don't think kindergarten would really work on Zoom. You might be able to run kindergarten classes online if you had a proper program that is easy to use for kids, kind of point and tap. That would be a different story. And he also says they've decided to continue to use Zoom even after they open to provide makeup classes, etc. I think it's a useful tool, and it was the one silver lining here, got people on board. Rhett sounds like he's read the lean startup. Sorry?
Well, that's what I think that's why Zoom is not going to disappear after this, is because say a student misses their class, and then I want to provide them I want to make that class up to them. Well, I can simply do that online. They can come to my house, or they can come online, and we can schedule it anytime.
Yeah.
Versus school hours, or having certain teachers available at certain times, it's harder to schedule.
Sure.
But when you do it online, you could really fit in 10 minutes almost anywhere.
Yeah. John says he's doing 45 minutes, and it's good, but it takes tons of focus and energy from me. Yeah, I can imagine. That would take up a lot. And I assume that those are like one-on-one classes, right? Okay.
And so it's crucial to know your students, and you can't you might say, oh, we'll give you more time, but it's not more time that some young learners want. They actually want less time, but during that time, more engagement. So a quick 10-minute lesson is far better than a slow, drawn-out 20-minute lesson.
Yeah, sure. Rawat says, I think it depends on the teacher and program. If you can teach kindy in person, you can teach kindy online too. Yeah, I think that would depend maybe. I don't know. I don't know how kindergartners perceive technology. Maybe it would work. I think it would be a bit more work because, I don't know. I've never taught kindergartners online, so I assume it would be a little bit trickier.
I was doing a test run with my grade 1 son, and next to him was his kindergarten son, and the kindergarten son ran around his brother. Then he came over to me, and he jumped on my lap, and he was just all over the place.
Right, yeah. So that's the reason why I think teaching kindergartners online would be a lot more challenging. Because I think there would have to be a parent present there in order to kind of, help maintain their focus on the lesson, right, on the screen.
Well, that actually came up in a discussion amongst friends, is like one of the things they don't like about Zoom is that parents can watch you and how you teach.
Mm.
And when I got my testimonial today, that's exactly what happened. She watched the class and she said, wow, I love this one-on-one attention she's getting.
Mm.
But if I had 6 kids in the room, then it may not be like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people who say that they're a bit apprehensive about parents watching may not necessarily feel comfortable with what they're teaching with the content, or maybe with how they're actually prepared for the class. Because I think if you're confident enough and you're comfortable with the content and you know what you're going to do, if you're well prepared, then it doesn't really matter if there's anybody watching or not, You're doing your thing. And I mean, yeah, there might always, if you have a crowd of 50 people, there might always be 1 or 2 people who don't like what you're doing. But that's the case with everything in life you do, right?
Well, and what you said, like, to me, kind of means several things. And one of them is that the content isn't designed to be taught online. Like, content for a book is delivered best through a book. And sometimes a book content just doesn't look great online.
Right.
So, and then because you're doing a book, then you have to actually transfer the paper, the content from the book onto the PowerPoint or the slide. So you have to take a picture of it, and then you have to bring it in, and then you have to zoom it in, and then you have to organize your slides, and that takes work.
Yeah.
And here's where things kind of get a lot trickier, because a lot of language schools, they offer a lot of solutions to a lot of different classes. So how can you, like, if I'm offering a service to one group of students, then I have to offer the same service to all the students. And for me as a teacher, I can't create content for all 10 of my classes. And that's why ever since, and I kind of learned that from creating my content just for my physical school. I'm like, I can't afford to teach 10 different levels. I need 2 or 3 levels so I can focus, I can niche down on those 2 or 3 levels, and then I can maintain my content strategy. And I think that most school owners actually don't have a content creation strategy and can't keep up to the creation of content for all 10 classes on a 3 days a week split. And I'm not too sure. Maybe you could answer that question. Do you think it's going to be difficult to scale all of your classes and all your levels, and why?
Well, I think if you were creating things from scratch, obviously creating content is not a process that is done overnight by one single person. Like the content that we have at our school, it's been worked on for over 30 years by groups of people who have come and gone through the company. So if you look at the books and you sit down and you look at the finished product, you say to yourself, yeah, I could totally do that. And you probably could, but if you don't have the managed product, the done product, right? It's kind of like hindsight is 20/20, right? If when you see something's done, then you go, yeah, I could totally do that. But if you don't have the syllabus in front of you, then coming up with ideas and actually creating these things and putting it all together, that's time consuming. So for one person to have, a number of levels for a duration of time ready to go, that takes a long time, man.
And that's why I don't think that schools should start with a website in mind, because you could get on Zoom with a PowerPoint in a matter of minutes.
Right.
But if you're going to go with a website, because this is online, I need a website. And because I have a website, I need to have a URL. It's a whole new rabbit hole of tech that you probably don't necessarily have the skills to actually do and to do well. And that's a dangerous rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah, exactly.
So my opinion is, if you're going to go online, make it as simple as possible. Download a program that you're comfortable using. I use Zoom. There's others out there, and PowerPoint. And those are the two main tools that I use.
Yeah.
Now I'm learning tools every day so I can make my lessons more engaging. But I'm not here trying to study 10 different techniques and 10 different styles and 10 different everything. Just give me one good thing that works. And then once I internalize that in my mind and I can use it, then give me a second and then I'll keep moving forward.
Sure. And if you're interested in working online, I posted a link below the video. It's for Dada. It's a company located in China, and they have online classes. You can follow that and register with them, and see if you could give it a go. It's a lengthy process. You got to submit some paperwork. It's just like applying for any other job. It's not a kind of wishy-washy. They're very selective about their teachers, but if you have the time and will, then give it a go. It's below the video. Rhett, what are your thoughts on like using free versus paid content? Because I get the feeling there's always a lot of content, and the problem with content, free content, is that it's never really free. Like just for example today, I gave my kids these tablets. We've had these tablets sitting around at the Hagwon for the past 3 years. Initially, when we first opened up, we were gonna, we started by having regular in-class lessons, and then we tried to provide our students with some tablet content, and we were using RAS for reading, just for the reading content, right? So we provided tablets. They were very kind of inexpensive tablets we got from China, and so I've had some of them still sitting in the back collecting dust, and my kids are they're losing their minds, right? So I figured, okay, I'm gonna give them something, and I just made them exclusively educational. So I downloaded some coding stuff. They wanted coding activities on their tablets, so I downloaded that. And of course, there's a bunch of them that you download, they're free, and the free stops being free after 15 levels, and then it's dead. What do I do? It's not working, and obviously then you have to purchase the remainder of the program. So that's one of the pitfalls that, I think you said that nothing's ever for free, right? Or free is never free. So using free material versus paid content, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, one of my biggest concerns with content is the amount of time it will require to use that content in my class. If I can take that content and I can like in 5 minutes get my content and embed and put it into their software, say Quizlet, for example. I love Quizlet. It's free, and because I can quickly take my word list that comes from my syllabus, that comes from my books, and embed it and then send a link. I love that. YouTube is also something I love a lot because I could find the best song that matches my curriculum, my syllabus, find it, take the link, and send it to the mothers. I love that free content, and I like it better. And one reason why I like it so much is because the software is very user friendly, so it doesn't require a lot of training for, say, YouTube or even Quizlet. So as soon as you send it to them, they just understand it. Whereas like other things where they have to register, they have to put in their email, they have to, and the onboarding process is hard, then you're going to get that resistance. And then later on down the road, they may not actually have they may not have what you need. So sometimes like these free things are services, and sometimes it's actually content. And when it comes to content, it might be good for a small little specific thing, but then you may actually have to pay $5 to keep using it per month. And if you're only using it for a one-time thing, and you're paying $5 every month, but you're only using it, say, once a year, and you're
Right.
not going to continue that subscription fee.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty
actually,
much why
I
I'm
had
not
that
buying
problem.
Netflix.
I actually had that problem a little bit with Raz readers because they boast having A to Z reading program from like say pre-A1 or kindergarten all the way up to level Z, say grade 5 or 6. Then I had to pay for all that content, but I only taught from A to J.
Right.
And but when I first started it, I thought I needed all of it, so I tried to curate as much of the content. So I started going from A to Z, and I started creating courses from A to Z when I didn't know my audience well enough. So it was actually a big time trap for me because I thought I needed this, but in reality, when the students started coming, I only needed one lesson again and again and again. Well, actually, let's say I needed 10 lessons, one lesson per month, or say 10 books, one book per month.
Right. David Tullid says I actually don't mind parents watching because it's a chance to show off how engaged their kids are most of the time. Yeah, right. Indeed.
Yeah, if you're keeping your teaching a secret, then there's probably something
Yeah.
that could be updated or changed.
Yeah, right. I think you touched upon like equipment briefly. So when you teach online, or if you're planning on, or if you're doing anything online, I guess, because I mean, you don't need to spend thousands of dollars. Just like with anything, when I started doing YouTube for the channel, it was the same story. I've watched a lot of YouTubers and advice on what to buy, and there's a lot of people who spend thousands of dollars on equipment, and they do this and they do that. When it turns out, like you can shoot perfectly good videos with a hand phone. And then if I do like these live streams, I use my camera, which is not perfect, but it's not horrible. It's an embedded camera and like a lapel microphone that I purchased that I got from China for like literally I spent about less than $4 on this thing. That's with delivery. And the sound, I don't know, it's not bad. It reduces all the noise. And then I needed to buy like a little plug-in to have sound, coming into my ear as well. But so like the amount of equipment and money you need to spend on running classes or doing anything online where you have to interact with people does not necessarily need to cost an arm and a leg, right? Like you obviously need to have a computer or something like that, but beyond that, the other stuff.
Well, okay, I think that there's always a cheap way and there's always an expensive way. And
Whoa.
I grew up with a father who always looked for, he was a scavenger. He always looked for things. And when he found it, he learned how to take that thing and put it to use for something else. And
Right.
he built a lot of amazing things from it. So I'm kind of the same way. It's like I look to see what I have lying around before I go out and buy things. But given the amount of work that I do, because this is my main job, like
Sure.
I create a lot of content, that a computer is one of those things where I had to update to something that could handle the amount of work that I was doing. Because if I'm losing time waiting for things to save and open and whatnot, then you're losing time is money, and it's important.
Yeah,
But
sure.
as for a lot of the expensive equipment, then I think that start off with a bare minimum, and then once you start making a little bit of money, then you upgrade a little bit. And you should only upgrade the things that will have the highest return on the investment. Say with this online teaching, the microphone is probably more important than the video quality. And one reason why is because your ears actually are finely tuned instruments that just hate listening to bad quality sound. If it sounds awful, then you're going to turn it off, and you can't handle 40 minutes of bad sound.
Yeah,
But you
absolutely.
can't handle 40 minutes of fuzzy cameras.
Or skippy camera. Yeah, absolutely. Sound is one of the most important things on live feeds and like videos of any kind. That's pretty much anybody who's making
But I'm
videos
not
says the
saying
same
that
thing.
you go out and buy the most expensive mic either.
No, but that's my point. Like, you don't need to. You can go and drop like $200 on a Blue Yeti. Of course you can. But if you don't have that $200, if you can't afford it, like I said, a $4 lapel, clip-on does the trick. It works fine. I've used it for a long time, and it, the sound quality like I said, it may not be as great as it would be on a Blue Yeti, but it's just as well. It's good. It's good enough, If you can drop,
a lot of these things, there's settings and controls, and it's like, well, I need the best because I want the best. But in the end, it's just a tweak on the settings that will get you that much closer. So
right, exactly.
Go to settings, turn down your feeds and whatnot, and it works.
Yeah. And of course, like if you do have the money and you can afford it, then go for it. I think it's a lot more convenient. The Blue Yeti, for example, like you're using something you've had for 10 years now, you said?
Yeah, and I've dropped it. I've got a Blue Snowball, and it's been working all right. It works wonderfully.
Yeah, so $200 for a 10-year investment, that's pretty good, and it's still working, right? So not bad. I don't know how long this sucker is going to work.
Zoom.
And it's what?
I didn't go out as soon as I'm going to start. I want to have a maximum of 100 students in my room for 60 minutes. Therefore, I need to buy the pro version, or I have 6 teachers teaching and la la la. I'm like, I'm a one man teacher. I'm going to start with the free, and I'm going to use it. I'm going to push free to the limit.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Zoom has, 40 free minutes, right? And then you have to purchase a membership. We just kind of found that out earlier today. We were chatting with Rhett about 30 minutes prior to start of the show, and I got a message from Zoom telling me that they're going to cut us off in about 10 minutes. But I mean, if you're running 20-minute classes, then 40 minutes is more than enough. Just, log off, log back in, and you're back on your 40-minute time cycle.
And there are other features that allow the pro user to make the transition between classes easier. But if you're teaching like all those classes, then maybe you need the pro account. But if you're just getting started, keep things simple.
Right.
Start free.
There's also, I guess, what are some other options? There's Zoom, there are Hangouts, Skype.
There's Facebook Live.
There's Facebook Live.
And this is something about, like, say, getting online. Like, the world isn't just like learning from a face-to-face interaction like this. You could say deliver a content and then record it and then send the link to the students. Like, you don't need to be doing everything like what we're doing right now. There's other means.
Yeah, absolutely. It's slightly different, but yeah, totally. You could have recorded content and post it on a website or wherever, or just send it to students, like you said. And there's a lot of people making these things. Like if you go and look for, creating content online, there's a lot of websites like Udemy or whatever, right? I talked to Ed Wojcik a few months back. Man, it's been a while. And he right now is in a position where he makes full-time income from his online courses, selling his course load to, I think Udemy it is. So that's recorded content that you can create and just upload it and have basically recurring income from that stuff. So
getting back to, say, the kindergarten students and saying that they can't handle online classes. And that might be true and it might not be true depending on the teacher. But one reason why they don't like it is because the content may not be compelling enough. But they will watch YouTube videos and they will watch super simple songs and they will watch a lot of those resources that are on there. So sometimes if you just give them a link for free, then the parents will play that song twice a day or something,
right,
when they're in the car. And one of the biggest challenges is the communication to the parents so that they do what you ask them to do.
Yeah, that's another thing. I've been making book readings for our Shane English Korea YouTube channel. I've been uploading those, and after every class, I basically, because I do like our regular book content, and then I do some reading, and so I tell our students, like, go to the website and have a look and listen to the book, so you know a little bit what we're reading, and just reread it. I'm not sure if they actually do, because I think I'm still not
cool, because I've got some friends in Japan who are school owners as well, and that's what they're doing. They're taking books that they have and they're doing readings, and then the kids are watching their teachers read the books.
Right. Yeah. So it's a pretty cool thing. I just haven't really figured out. A lot of the kids, they come on and they're not really sure where the chat option is, and Some students come on and they use their phones. So I guess if you wanted to use something like Zoom, Zoom has an option where you can give the students access to the pen, right, or control of the mouse. Do you use that at all in your classes? Sorry?
The harder it is, the more training that's required.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So I believe that children or adults, they can do anything if they've learned the skills required to do the next step.
Yeah, sure. Right.
And that's why I'm a little bit slow getting all my students on board at the same time.
That would be crazy. Like the second week where we had our students come online, and I think I had 6, no, not even that many, maybe 4 or 5. It felt a bit overwhelming, but I did see screenshots of somebody else running their classes online, and they literally had 6 screens, one on top of the other. And they're running classes like that with 6 students on board, man, which was pretty impressive, I thought.
I think you could do a lot with breakout rooms, with multiple devices, with even, say, team teaching inside a Zoom. But if you can't do the basics, then why think of the advanced features?
Yeah.
First, get the basics down. Get used to the software, get used to the tools, and then build the skill to use them.
Yeah, baby steps. Baby steps.
Baby steps.
Nice.
So is there anything else that we should be covering?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
There's a lot, but we only have time's up.
Yeah, it's been an hour. We chatted for about an hour. Nothing else is popping into my mind of immediate urgency.
The last thing I kind of want to say is that there's always a solution, and sometimes the biggest hurdle is actually switching the switch in our brain to say, I can do this, or this solution will work at my school. Because if you think that is not a viable solution, or that you can't do it because it is not your core offer, and you just sit there and do nothing, then you're going to end up in a place where you don't know how to take the next steps to do whatever is taught, whatever is needed to keep your business afloat. So just sometimes work on the mindset to just be able to take agency, to take control over what you can do, and not always say, I can't do it or it can't be done.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a hard thing to do, though, I think, for many people.
Oh, it's very hard.
To step out of the comfort zone,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll see what the future brings, because this is kind of a new thing, especially in Korea. But I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's going to keep getting tweaked, and teachers will become more skilled. And I think it's going to be part of our normal service coming the next few months.
Yeah,
but not 10 kids per class, or not 6 per class, but individual interventions.
No, yeah, I think this could be a part of the business becoming more and more. I think with time, people will get used to it a little bit more, and there's going to be a lot more interest in having online classes. There's some, I think, small pockets of online classes. There's a few businesses in Korea that I know of that run online classes for either like specific clientele or specific age groups. But I think with time, there's those age groups and clienteles are gonna become a little bit broader. There will be more people interested in doing that because, I mean, it's, you know, it's comfortable, really. Unless you're the type of person who needs to get out of the house, being able to like sit in your pajamas, so to speak, and have a lesson for 30 minutes every day or 20 minutes every day. You know, there's a lot of people in Korea complaining about, oh, I don't have time or I don't have anybody to talk to. So if you provide that kind of service, you know, I think there might be a lot of interest in that area for those people who are saying that I don't have enough opportunities to speak English.
Precisely.
So yeah, that's our goal. Shane is moving online this year. I don't know how, I don't know where, but that's the goal. I'm planning on developing something, and like you say, baby steps, just because we have the curriculum which is there, and it's just a matter of you know, building.
Well, then I'm just curious, if you're working for a franchise and you have the content, then are there other people who could help you take that content and put it online?
There are, yeah. So I contacted the people at the head office, and hopefully I've been talking to somebody, and he's the computer man. So we talked about it on Friday, and we kind of laid down some plans. So hopefully he's going to be able to, you know, to come up with the technical parts of it. I've got the ideas and I've got the vision, and he's got hopefully the technical skills, and so we can hopefully put it together over the next however long it takes, hopefully not too long, and just, you know, get something going and then develop it slowly over time and build it into something impressive, I guess, over time.
Well, you tell headquarters, you tell Shane headquarters that I'll you can call me for $200 an hour.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know. You never make an offer.
Yeah. Maybe I should be calling you for $200 an hour.
Maybe. You never know. If we could turn $200 into $500, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. It's a steep price though, man. If you can lower that bracket, then maybe we can talk.
We will see.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, thanks for agreeing to do another one, man. Hopefully in the future we can have another sit down and, you know, talk about the progression of everything. See how your school is going, your online school, and I don't know, see if I put my word where my mouth was, or however that saying goes. My money where my mouth was. And yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's get it done. Let's get online.
All right. Let's get online. That's the slogan, man. Let's get online. That's going to be the slogan now. All right, Rhett. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. All right, so Rhett's gone is just little old me. Somebody called me dad on one of my YouTube videos, on the ones I posted on Friday or whenever. And clearly I am a father, but it just feels weird. I think it must have been a Korean translation from like oppa or something. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe the person was just like, man, he's old, you're a dad. Anywho, okay, Monday. Today is Monday the 23rd. I'll be having a little update because there's a lot on the coronavirus again. Because there's a lot of stuff that's happening. There's a lot of stuff that I've been reading. People have brought my attention to certain information, certain things on the coronavirus. So I'm going to talk about that, and I was thinking about making a video for tomorrow, but I guess I'll record it tomorrow and I'll be uploading it on Wednesday to keep everything in perspective and kind of on topic, recent. So come back on Wednesday or visit back on Wednesday for another upload from the Living Korea channel. David, I use 2 devices when teaching too, one for Zoom and one for images, etc., that I might want to share with the students. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, for when I use Zoom, I only used the screen share. But obviously, like, I guess I would imagine, like, Rhett is using a PowerPoint and he has the internet open. So he's got a PowerPoint and an internet and then Zoom's feed. So I guess Zoom is pretty versatile. I don't know about Google Hangouts, but I guess you use what you're comfortable with, right? Like, people choose to use Zoom. This is not a promotional video for Zoom, most certainly not, because they're not giving out, well, they're giving out actually quite a bit of stuff for free, right? But it is, for the little time that I've been using it, Zoom is proving to be quite convenient to use. More so than Skype, I guess, because Zoom is geared specifically towards having conferences and lessons and whatnot. Anywho, okay, so to all of you here, thank you for visiting, for sticking around and listening to the podcast. Thank you, Rhett, for coming on and having this great discussion. If you want to follow, if you want to check out Rhett's website, the link is below the video. If you are interested in teaching online, like I said again, I attached a link to Dada English. You can check that out below the video. And if anything else, you can also contact me personally if you're interested in starting your own English language franchise here in South Korea. Give me a buzz if you're interested in starting up your own Hagwon. And what else? And that's going to be it. The links are below the video. Just go check them out, the Facebook group and stuff. All right, 11 o'clock, 7 after. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night. See you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.